Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the STR8UP podcast. I am your host, Calvin, joined by Christina and Brandon, my two co-hosts for today. If you hear my voice, and if you've been friends with us and you listen to our podcast, we have so much history with this show. This show started off as a TV show at a community college where me, Brandon, Christina, and Lee, not only did we meet there, but went to school together and were classmates there too. And if you know the show, this show came about our administration challenging us as students to come up with a concept for a TV show ran by students. And so with the help of Brandon, Lee, and Courtney, we came up with Straight Up. One of those people that encouraged us to come up with Straight Up was Miss Peggy Byers. And we're doing this show today because normally we're goofing off and laughing and having a good time. But we just got word that one of our mentors, one of our biggest inspirations in college, Miss Peggy Byers, passed away. And it's only fitting that we do something special and kind of honor her because there would be no Straight Up without Peggy Byers. So this show is dedicated straight to Miss Peggy Byers. And I want to go ahead with y'all's permission, Brandon and Christina and Lee. I want to really say that this whole season is dedicated to Miss Byers because she meant so much to us. So this show is dedicated to us. Today, you'll hear stories about Miss Byers. You'll hear from former students and faculty members that work with Miss Byers, and just how what she meant to us throughout our years in college and even afterwards, because here we are years later, we're still doing Straight Up. And so this show is dedicated to Miss Byers. And I just want to start off by saying, Miss Byers, thank you so much for the inspiration. But Brandon, Christina, this is some tough news to get.
I think it was you told me, and then I got the message from Kazuba, which the people that listen to the show, she was on, I believe, the season before last, the reunion episode. You got to hear Miss Kazuba, and yeah, man, when you sent that message, I was like, once again, it's life is just when somebody's so close to you, just passes like that. It's just like that. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to take in sometimes how like instant that can really happen, because it's just time just stops at that moment, right when you read, those letters, or um when you read the words of someone that you love passes, life just stops at that moment. And for me, it was just crazy. Obviously, you, Calvin, you've kept up with Miss Byers this whole time, which is how I feel like I've been able to know how she's been doing. But yeah, no, it's just crazy how now, you know, that's gonna stop. That ends.
I got that message and I was just like, I know y'all had a different, relationship with Byers than I did because y'all were in the backgrounds of a lot of different workings. But I had all of her classes. Every class she offered, I was in it. Literally to the point I sat in her class for maybe like 3 hours straight for 3 different courses a semester. I would literally just move from the left to the right to back to the left. And she just like, you're still here, huh? Yeah, that's my spot. But she was amazing. I enjoyed all of her classes. Like she was the reason I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna keep up with this. I really enjoy this. And anytime someone brought her up, I thought of, her love for I Love Lucy and everything like that. And like all week now in my head, when I'm just quiet for a second, I hear her voice go, I'm Peggy Byers. All day. I love that lady. I miss her a lot. She was amazing.
Yeah, and that I Love Lucy, and if just to kind of give you some background from what I know about Miss Byers is that love to do stage plays, was on the Guiding Light soap opera. You remember that video she sent us, the Guiding Light video she sent us, and she was one of our professors at Bossier Parish Community College, and she was one of the teachers of mass comm, which is what we all graduated with, mass communication degrees. And like Christina said, she taught everything from speech to directing, which was one of my favorite classes, directing, because you got a chance to, and hopefully we're going to have more people coming on the show today, but hopefully Mitch can give us some feedback if Mitch comes on from the Real Inspectors. But even talking with Mitch, she encouraged the fellas that's been on our show, the Real Inspectors, to have film review shows. And like straight up, they've kept that up through over the years. And Miss Byers was behind all of that. And so speaking to a lot of our students, they all said the same thing. She was so vibrant and full of energy and encouraging students just to, it was different, especially when you're a college student. You just got to college for the first time. A lot of people who didn't go to a big name college after high school, and they went to BPCC kind of get their feet wet in college. And, and some people who were older still went there. And she didn't care if you were older going into get an associate's degree or fresh out of high school. She treated you all the same, and she encouraged you to do better every day. And so she was one of those people who is full of life, and she had this iconic red hair. Yeah, I remember that, the red hair that just, you knew that was Miss Byers coming with that red hair, and just full of energy and just encourage you. And which my story about Miss Byers and our relationship is that you hear me speaking the way I speak right now, and you hear my voice. And I didn't know, first off, I didn't know how to get to college. I grew up, poor, and I didn't know anything about scholarships or didn't know what it meant. And so just in one of Miss Byers' speech classes, I just know I wanted to do mass comm. I didn't know what that all entailed, but just speaking out loud in Miss Byers' classroom, after class is over with, she stopped me and said, "Hey, I like your voice. You should do something with your voice." And I'm like, "I just spoke. I don't really know what you mean." And then so she took the time after class is over with and her other classes were coming in, and she said, got a piece of paper with a script and said, "Read this." And I was like, I read it. And she was like, "Okay, read it like this." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, she said, "Well, if you're interested, we have a scholarship program at the school to where you can do the school news." And I was like, "What?" So, and that was the birth of me doing the school news and meeting Brandon and meeting Lee and meeting Courtney and so forth and so forth. And it was with opportunities like that I was able to get an internship with the help of Miss Byers and Miss Denise at Bossier Parish Community College. And then I did the rest and kept going and kept going. So it was really her that really helped me out and to get me into the career field today. And all it took was just her just stepping out, giving extra to me to say, "Hey, read this script. I think you have a great voice. This is how you can use it." And so it was that moment I knew she was a special person. And like Brandon said, that, we try to keep up with her. We had our season finale episode where we wanted to bring her on, but unfortunately she couldn't because she had some health issues, and which I stayed on the phone with her maybe 2 hours last year after we recorded the episode to keep up with her. And that's when she told me she was going through some things. And so I hate to hear that, she's no longer, she's not here anymore. But I'm glad that there's no more suffering, but I just want her to know that she was very valued to us, not only as students, but as a community in Bossier City and in Shreveport as well. So we're not going to cry. We're going to celebrate Miss Byers the right way. We're going to have full of energy and smile bright, because I'm pretty sure that's what she would want us to do. We're going to have some input on her students and some people that knew her personally. Up next is our tribute show to Peggy Byers on the Straight Up Show podcast. Stay tuned.
Tired of the same old boring clothes? Want to support your favorite podcast but don't know how? Well, you're in luck. The Straight Up Show podcast store is finally here. In our Teespring shop, you can find all the merch that tells the world you're keeping it straight up. From t-shirts to masks to even leggings, our store has you covered. Just visit straightupshowpodcast.com and click that merchandise button. That's STR8UPshowpodcast.com.
All right, welcome back. This is our tribute show to the late, great Peggy Byers. And if you don't know who she is, she was our professor at our college where Brandon, me, Lee, and Christina all met. Christina, Brandon, and Lee all had classes with her together. Like Christina said before, if you had her class, you probably had more than one class of hers because she taught everything at the school. And if Straight Up had a nucleus, Miss Byers was part of that nucleus because it was her encouragement, inspiration for us to come up with Straight Up and to be ourselves. Like I said, I met her because I read a script in her class and she encouraged me and offered me a scholarship to join the school news, which benefited me because I was struggling and that little bit did help me out. So we're giving thanks and, paying homage to Miss Byers today. Like I said, she's gone, left us last month, but we want to give some praises to her today. So Brandon, I mean, how did you meet Miss Byers? I mean, what was your first impression of Miss Byers when you first met her?
My first impression. Wow, this is a colorful woman. Because she has the hair, but not only did she have the hair, but she always had the colorful robes, kind of going on.
She always wore the jacket.
Yeah, it's like,
she knows she looked good.
Yeah, and the flip flops.
Yeah, I thought she was an art teacher at first, because honestly, I actually didn't have any classes with Miss Byers. I always had kazoo, but remember, I was a sound major, sound engineer major at BPCC, so I didn't have as many, opportunities to be in one of her classes. But when she took over the scholarship program, that's when I first really got to know Miss Byers. And me and Miss Byers was like, I would say something and she was like, what does that mean? Or what do you mean? And I was just, I don't know. I remember when around the time Psy came out and the Gangnam Style came out, and me and Miss Byers was just talking about pronunciations and everything. And yeah, even when she was doing it, it was just that type of stuff when Miss Byers would, you wouldn't expect her to keep up with this type of stuff, but she would just know it. And me and her would just be able to goof off. I didn't know who Mr. Ed was until I met Miss Byers, because Lil Wayne, one of his songs was like, and Mr. Ed. And I was like, who's Mr. Ed? And Miss Byers was like, you don't know who Mr. Ed is? I was like, no. So talking horse, and she went on this whole rant because that she loved that type of stuff. And I was like, okay, I've been educated. All of those old sitcoms she loved. She loved all that stuff. The picture show, that she did, and also the days. What was it? The days in history? Today's history?
Today in history. Yeah.
Today in history. Yeah, one of those. Yeah. We will always have a CD with a crap ton of sitcoms. That was in her and Kazuba's room, which I always walked into their office like, hello, ladies. Just to go sit in. Just to go sit in. But no, that was my experience with Miss Byers. It was always just like, if you see her, it's like she's a colorful woman. But the conversations was always amazing with her.
Right. And I think that's one thing about her and Miss Kazuba too. And definitely give some kudos to Miss Kazuba because those two together, they really were like a tag team. And they made that department what it was at the time, because they were like a tag team and they had that just hands-on approach. And a lot of kids didn't get that, not only in high school, but in colleges. Because after I left, BPCC, I went to NSU in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and it wasn't the same. And so those two were a tag team, and they made that communications department very special. It made us form a brotherhood with Brandon and me and Lee and Christina and Courtney. And it was how many years later? Like almost 10 years later, we're still doing this. And it's because of what they taught us. And so one thing that really stood out for Miss Byers is that she had an open door policy. You know, it doesn't mean if she was eating her lunch, she would still talk to you while she was eating her lunch. And, you know, and I know that she didn't have kids of her own, but I hope she knew that she was a strong mother figure to a lot of us, because a lot of us, you know, especially a lot of us didn't have that comfort and care about life. And somebody that traveled from city to city to New York to Los Angeles doing stage plays, she encouraged us to jump out and be bold and stuff like that, because she's seen the world. She traveled and did stage plays and all this other stuff and was on the Guiding Light. So it's kind of like, wow, I want to be bold like her and doing things like that. So I'm glad that she made so many first impressions on people like Brandon and Christina. What kind of impression did, or can you tell us your first time seeing Miss Byers and how the first impression she made on you?
So Byers was actually my first semester. She was my first class, everything, you know. So of course I saw my counselors and whatnot, but she was the first instructor that I even met on campus. And when I walked in her class, you know, I was a lot more stylish back then, and I was smaller, and I had more hope and vigor back then. So I remember I walked in her class, and, you know, and I had these boots on, these leather combat boots. And I walked in her class, and she was like, "Well," that's all she said. I was like, what does that mean? I'm already in trouble. But no, she's like, "I like your clothes." She's like, "Keep doing that. You don't see that often." And I was just like, "Well, I like your earrings. I love those colors. Keep doing that." That was literally our first exchange. But and from there it just kept going and going. And I agree 1,000%. She's definitely a come talk to me type. She was gonna have your back as best she could, you know, and if no one else was going to take that second to explain how things worked or what the reality of certain things are going to be, she was the person who would. She's like, "Hey, this is what it's going to be like for you. And if you can tough that out, it's worth it. Or you're not going to step out and be the rising star out of so-and-so, but you can be a character." She's like, "You got good character." I didn't want to act or anything. I was there for directing. So I took a lot of her writing courses and stuff like that. And I just spent a lot of time sitting next to Byers doing script writing and journalism type related things. And she tried to get me to do anchoring, like news reporting. And I was like, "I don't think that's good for me." She was like, "But you speak really well." And I was like, "I don't think that's gonna be for your girl. I got anxieties, Byers." But she did eventually get me to do a few episodes of her Today in Histories. And those were always really fun. And that's how I kind of met the other side of our program and the other side of like what you guys were doing back there. Because I never went into that scholarship room. I was never in that dark room. The computer, like the whole setup, I was just like, "I don't want to be here." And that's how I met Brandon, actually. I always saw Brandon with his bag, the heavy bag he always carried around. And she introduced me to you. She's like, "Oh, this is Brandon." And da, da, da. And
I
I
was
was
like, "Hey."
okay. What?
I was like, "Hey."
Yeah. Yeah, I had to use you a few times though, so it was good that we met.
Yeah.
But I just loved Byers. Byers was so vibrant. She was amazing. She was so sweet. And of course, the first thing you notice is her hair and her clothes. But the big standout thing is Byers was loud. Byers was loud, and she was going to be loud on purpose. She was like, "Well, I want to be seen." I loved hearing her talk about her stage performances and doing this and that. And through her, I got to meet a stage actor and singer that I loved. They did a show together here in our downtown theater. I can't think of the name of it because I saw a few of her plays, but this one in particular, I got to go. But all of that aside, I really, really wish I had reached out and talked to her more.
Who did you meet?
His name was Jeremiah James. I actually have a picture with him. He's a singer. He's a stage actor, but singer. And I was in love with him. I got a picture with him. I'm sad that I didn't have a picture with her that night too, but she dipped out. She was like, "Oh, here he is." And she introduced him. She was gone. I was just like, "Byers, he's attractive. Don't leave me." But I wish I had gotten a picture with her that night. And I wish I had been able to reach out and talk to her more outside of our program, because I would have loved to just continue to talk with her. There was so much you could learn and gain from her. She's amazing.
Yeah, she definitely had that that presence of not just a professor or teacher or instructor, just somebody that just had good energy, and I'm big on holistic energy and everything like that. So there's everything like that. So just to have that energy around you is what people really needed, especially with so much negativity in the world and stuff like that. So like you said, like Christina and Brandon inspired not only just us, but several students. So we're going to hear something from one of her students right now.
I want to make a small condolence for one of my favorite professors at BPCC, Miss Byers. Like many professors, she was very supportive of her students' goals and achievements. She did everything she could to make sure that everyone succeed. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't know much of my hidden talents that I've gotten being part of the scholarship that the school provided. So to you, Miss Byers, thank you for being part of my life. You will never be forgotten.
Miss Byers meant a lot to me in my college career, seeing how I had 2 to 3 classes with her from the span of 2010 to 2013. She had a very warm, inviting presence and brought a lot into the classroom as far as like keeping people interested, just her personality. I think a lot of that being given her career from theater and everything that she's done. And she almost had kind of like a neighborly sense to her. And oddly enough, I remember when she became my advisor sometime, maybe 2011, she looked at my address and all that, and she said, "You're kidding." And I said, "What?" And she noticed the street that I lived on. And she lived 5 or 6 houses down, and she said she lived there for years. And I knew sometime in 2013 or towards the end, she had gotten hurt. And then soon after, I know that she had retired after I had graduated from BPCC. And I feel like I tried to go visit her at least once, but she didn't answer or something, and I didn't know how her health was. And I feel bad because I really never went back, even though she was essentially right down the street. But she was honestly, she really was one of my favorite college professors just because she was so close to home, literally. But she was probably one of my favorites just because she made my college career enjoyable, even though I'm still not sure if I made the right choice in my career path. But regardless of that, she made me enjoy and look forward to going to her classes, because I met so many of my friends that I have now, the friends that I still keep in contact with. Some I might not have talked to in a long time. But I'm happy to have made those memories and have her been one of my teachers.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a dry eye in the room right now. I'm trying to hold it in right now. But that was some spot on evaluations by Miss Byers. Christina, what do you think? Just everything they said was true.
It is true. It's like there's nothing to add to it. She really was that person that I don't think I really know anyone who was truly invested in that program and this career path who wasn't sucked in and mesmerized by her, because she had something to her that you just knew was truth in it, you know, like she was someone you knew you could learn from and get a good mentorship through. She just had something about her that if you really were interested in it, she was going to only make it grow from there. You know what I'm trying to say from it? Uh, so everybody who's like, yeah, she was that person. Like, I'm trying not to curse. She is. She's amazing. There's not a bad thing you could really say about her, and you better not if you do. Like,
Stefan in Austin, kind of like with Christina, that other program, she will always bring people in that I guess she thought spoke very well. Obviously, I'm not one of those people. Would come into the program, you know, the scholarship into the studio and would read. So yeah, it was she really was, like you said, that nucleus that really brought a lot of us together. In terms of what Austin said, I can feel, I can resonate with that, because one of the I often feel like I work so much, or you know, we talk about this sometimes, we don't reach out to certain people even when we know something is going on with them, when they're sick, and then when it's too late, you have that ounce of regret, or I mean, or a pound. I don't know how much you have, but you have that. So you know, really take at least this part of this episode to like work on that. You know, really reflect. Next time you hear one of your family members or somebody is sick, uh, reach out, because you really just don't know.
Yeah, and one of the things that they say at church all the time is that tomorrow may be too late. And I try to think about that all the time. But you're right. Just I'm glad that we were able to communicate with her after our season 1 finale and tell her that, hey, we're still doing this. We're still doing Straight Up, and we thank you, because you know I feel like this needs to live on, and so we're gonna keep Miss Byers, you know, lifted in prayer and her family in prayer right now, because we're gonna keep celebrating her and giving more tributes to her and paying homage to her here on the Straight Up Show podcast. Stay tuned with us. This is the tribute show to Miss Peggy Byers on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Hey, Calvin here, host of the Straight Up Show podcast. And guess what? We're back bigger and better than ever with new guests, new straight up topics, and a new way to support the Straight Up Show podcast. That's right. You can now support our podcast by becoming a Patreon patron. Straight Up has 4 different tiers that you can choose from, with each tier having their own perks. Your monthly donation helps us produce efficient Straight Up content that you love so much. For more details, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. That's patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318.
All right, so we're back with the Straight Up Show podcast. This is our tribute to one of our mentors, our professor, our inspiration of the show, Miss Peggy Byers, who we lost last month. It's only fitting that we give a tribute to her. And as Christina would say, if Miss Peggy was here right now and she heard me saying homage, she'd probably get on to me for saying it the wrong way. Is that right, Christina? How would she say it?
first of all, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I could just hear her correcting you if it was like if it was homage, she'd say homage, Calvin, homage.
Homage.
But I think it's homage.
Homage.
I think it's homage.
And she used to get on to me for saying like forte. That's my forte.
Fort. It's your fort.
It's your fort.
Yeah,
And like,
I always think of that.
actually, now that I think about it, when I did a Today in History for some reason, or when I did my music segment, she would always, I would say ain't a lot, and she would say
Shoot.
ain't is not a word. And I remember I just said, ain't.
She said,
But
"Ain't this for acting?
yeah,
Ain't
yeah.
it?"
Ain't it? Yeah, and like that whole forte and forte. I'm like, oh my goodness, like
Culinary.
I used to hate that. I'm like, oh my goodness, and like it's not your forte, it's your fort. And like the one from Family Guy, the cool whip, the cool whip. How do you? And she used to do it so well. Just like, how do you pronounce it like that? Like, how do you?
Cool Whip.
And I also learned from her that that there is people who have a fear of the number 13. I'm like, wait, what? I forgot what it was called, but I was like, wait, what? This is a real
Is it
thing.
try something decafocal?
I forget. I
I'm about to
forget.
Google it. Sorry, I was about to, it's my habit, and I'm like, you can't do that right now.
Gotta Google it. But no, it's this small stuff like that shows she made a big impact on not only her students but a lot of people as well. While we're continuing this homage to Miss Byers, we're going to speak to some people that actually worked with Miss Byers that knew her on a working scale. So listen in.
This is Ryan Williams. I first met Peggy Byers around 2002, 2003. She played my Auntie Vera in the Marjorie Lyons Playhouse production of Maine. Peggy just had the most gracious heart, always made you laugh. It was always so wonderful to be in her presence because she just knew how to build you up and keep you at that high level. Working opposite her in scenes was a challenge because she challenged you to be the best actor that you could be. I hate that I hadn't seen or talked to Peggy recently, but I did know she was dealing with some health issues. But I will miss her. She was always so wonderful to me whenever I was in her presence. And I'm glad that so many people got to experience how wonderful she is.
Hey Calvin, it's Paula Kazuba. Well, before I met Peggy, I was a teacher at Central Park Elementary School in Bossier Parish, and I met her sister Kathy Byers, who I got to become friends with. And once I started hosting the TV show Homework Hotline, was telling Kathy all about it and how excited I was about doing television. She said, "Oh, you've got to meet my sister Peggy," and she told me all the stuff that Peggy had done, soap operas, commercials, Broadway, off Broadway, and some movie stuff. Well, I didn't know I was going to meet her and that she would be my office mate for over 15 years and my good friend for over 20 years. Well, Peggy portrayed Granny on Homework Hotline, and professional as she was, one day the cameras weren't set correctly, and I became green on the screen, live television, and Peggy just cracked up laughing. Well, once she started laughing, I started laughing, and we're doing this live TV. We couldn't stop laughing. Larry Powell had to come back in the studio and tell us to behave ourselves and to straighten up. And so we tried our best, and we did after a little break. And but it was just so funny and so strange that she could break character because she is so good at being in character. But Peggy was my good friend. She came up here to visit us in upper state New York, and we went to Boston and had a nice time with my daughter Cynthia there. So I really do miss her, and I hope her family's doing well.
So I'm so glad to hear that, not only how we viewed her as students, but her coworkers and the people that knew her personally all had the same reaction about, who she was and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, man. Once again, that is when you have somebody that is so like involved with everything and who really loved. No, when you have somebody that really loves what they do and just that is them, that what they love to do is purely shown in everything they do, their expression, the way everything about them, when they embody what they do, you can't help but to admire that. And I think that was once again that light that she gave off whenever you saw Miss Byers. So it's even, yeah, if you didn't have her as a teacher, just in the store getting groceries, you probably would see that light. It's like, here's this colorful woman by the fruit section, and it just all works.
She was a character. Literally, like, she was
Yeah,
a character
she was.
actor. She
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
she was.
character. Like, you see her and your eyes are drawn to her. And when you speak to her, your attention is drawn to her. If she wasn't your teacher at BPCC, you wanted her to be. You're like, I'm gonna go talk to Byers. I have none of Byers' classes this semester, but I'm gonna go peek in. She'd kick you out, but depending on who you were. But she was just genuine and she was just good. I'm sure, I can't speak for everybody else, but I personally adored her. Like, I adored Miss Byers. I was sad if I didn't have one of her classes. I'm like, you don't have anything left? I took them all. I loved her. She was amazing. She was so sweet and she was so kind to people. It was just awesome. I mean, she had a lot of feistiness to her too. She was not soft.
She
Byers
wasn't
is
a
not a
pushover.
soft woman.
No, she was not a pushover.
No.
And she wasn't mean. It was just like,
No.
you wasn't going to step over her, especially in her class. And I know that,
Are you
me
done?
and you, yeah, it's like, are you, and it is so politely like, are you done? Okay. And like never vicious though. And I know with me, I used to push her buttons a lot, which I do with everybody, but I would try to sneak in your classroom, Christina, and just act like I'm one of the students, just sitting right next to you. And she'd be like, Calvin, are you supposed to be in this class? Like, no.
She would have never let us sit next to each other.
Oh yeah, we could. You and I could never sit next to each other at all because
she didn't want me next to any of my friends in classes.
Because I was not going to pay attention, and Christina would cheat off my paper. So,
and
no.
fail. No.
Wow. Speaking of fail, I'm about to fail this word Brandon flicked up for us. This is the fear of the number 13 that Miss Byers could pronounce very fluently. I couldn't, but
was it triskaidekaphobia?
Oh, look at
I'm
you!
sorry.
You show out.
We have to bleep that out now.
What?
Nothing.
That's what it is. That's what it is. She said it right. Triskaidekaphobia.
She didn't know. You said deck. She
triskaidekaphobia.
That's what it is. Triskaidekaphobia. That's what it is.
Okay.
The fear of number 13. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But she said it like
knowledge.
off the top of her tongue, like it was nothing. And us, we're like, all right, in speech class, it's triskaidekaphobia. I'm about to cuss. Triskaidekaphobia. What? And then, and so, but she did it so fluently. But those are the memories that Miss Byers brought to us and the friendships that she gave us. So we're going to keep going and get more soundbite from some of those students that she made an impact on as her time as their teacher.
Hey, Straight Up family, this is Natalie. When I heard about the passing of Miss Byers, I instantly knew that the Bossier Parish Community College faculty and staff lost someone who was not just caring, but passionate about her craft and her students. I had the pleasure of seeing her in a stage play, and she came alive. She came so alive. I remember going back to class the next day where she taught me in a production class, and I told her, I was like, you almost had me up wanting to be on stage and act. And from that simple conversation, I gained the most important thing for my career and for life in general is that you don't just walk into something just to do it. You need to have passion and you need to have care for what you're doing. And Miss Byers taught me that. And so I am so appreciative for her life and her teaching on that. To the family, please recognize that heaven didn't just gain someone who worked and provided and just loved what she did. No, they gained someone who cared and was intentional about pouring whatever encouragement, whatever honest advice, whatever you needed as far as being successful and passionate for your craft, that's who Heaven gained. And so we thank you for allowing us the time that we had with her. And I just pray that in the days and weeks to come that you are able to find closure and don't rush the grieving process. So thank you straight up. I hope y'all have a great show.
All right, so just want to thank all her students and those who pitched in and contributed to this tribute show from Ms. Byers. Like I said, she has impacted so many people. She's going to be missed. We love you so much, Ms. Byers. But as we bring this show to a close, I want to ask you all, especially if you are watching this on Facebook Live, Christine, I'll start with you. What's something that maybe you'll remember about Ms. Byers that you carry in your everyday life, or something that you'll always remember about Ms. Byers?
Your dream is your dream, and nobody can take that away from you. You know, win or fail, keep trying for it. You know, it's yours. It's what you make of it. You might not always succeed at it, but as long as you're putting your heart into it, then you didn't fail at it. You know, and as far as a memory of her or something that I'm always going to take is be confident. Be confident and double down on it. You know, if you're going to go for it, then you need to commit to it, no matter what. You know, be it your career, be it your personal life, you got to commit to it and work for it.
Brandon?
Yeah, my biggest memory is gonna be going into that room. I'm sorry, you just have to. It will never be the same room. You just have to have been there to see her in Kazuba's room. But I'm gonna miss just and remember that challenge. You know, as somebody that struggles with speech, me and Miss Byers would always just go at it. So I'm just going to remember that. I'll always remembered it, but that will always be there. Just the time in scholarship, remembering those moments, because sorry, you just had to be there.
I'll keep it up for. I'll challenge you constantly if you want me to.
No, you can continue to focus on Calvin.
But yeah, those are the memories that she has definitely given to us. And personally, Ms. Byers, I just want to say thank you, because one thing that I always remember is just you giving me a script after I'm leaving your class and you tell me to read it. And to even talk right now, I couldn't find my voice, and it was like life. I was trying so hard to figure out where I fit in. I didn't know where I fit in career-wise. I didn't know where I fit in life, because I had troubles at home. And the fact that you didn't know any of that, you didn't care about any of that, you took the opportunity out just to say, you know what, I'm going to give you the opportunity. And I think that's what I'm going to always remember, especially with this show, is to give people opportunity and believe in people. And I think that all it takes is just somebody just to believe in you to go far. Because if it wasn't for you, being on scholarship helped me pay my rent. Being on scholarship helped me get a job at a TV station, which helped me get to another college to get my bachelor's degree and keep going forward. And right now, we don't all have it figured out. As some of your students, we probably don't have it figured out. Some of us are not in media right now. Some of us are still in media, but your impact is so great that you change so much. Some of your classes, some people have got married because of some of your classes. Some people have kids together, and it was some things that you helped bring to the table that we love so much. And I just want to say thank you so much for helping me find my voice, because I don't really think I would be where I'm at without you and Miss Kazuba as well. But most certainly you, because I had the majority of your classes and you never gave up to me. One of my biggest memories as well is this is before I knew how journalism worked and I knew how to interview somebody, but there was a opening at the Shreveport Regional Arts Center when they first opened it up, and they had all the big wigs in Shreveport, and you know how arrogant people in Shreveport can be sometimes, but all the big names were there, and the important people, and I saw William Joyce. And if you don't know who William Joyce is, he's one of the Disney creators of Old Roly Poly and other movies in Disney that you probably wouldn't think of, based from Shreveport. And I knew that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go up to him and just interview him. I don't care what is. And this is before I knew how to ask questions or get PR approval. And so I went up to him and was very confident. I put a microphone to his face and said, hey, give me an interview. After that interview, we brought it back for BPCC News. Ms. Byers was like, did you ask to do this? I just put a camera in front of his face. And he talked to you? She said, yeah. She's like, I can't believe you just interviewed Oscar winner William Joyce. I'm like, I didn't know who he was. I just, he looked important, so I put a camera in front of him. And so it was a big deal for her. And I did that because it was bold. And so just being fearless is what she taught me. And I think that's kind of the concept of our show, is we're fearless because we push those buttons, we ask those questions. And as one of the people that worked with her said, that being on stage as an actor, her counterpart, she challenged you. And I think that's what her legacy is to me, is that she encourages you to be challenged and challenge other people as well. And that's what our show is about. And this is what, like I said, we don't have a nucleus, but Miss Byers was definitely part of this show, because she was the ones that challenged us in school, because we had a platform. Hey, you have a TV station at school, do something with it. And it was the relationships that we made at the scholarship with Brandon and Lee and Courtney that we came up with straight up. And she would give us pointers here and there, but it made me so proud to say, it's kind of like, hey, Mom, look, you told me to go out and do this. And here it is, almost 10 years later, me, Brandon, Christina, and Lee, we're still doing straight up. And like just that last conversation I had with Miss Byers last year after our season 1 finale, I was like, look, we're still doing it. And it just to hear her say thank you was like an approval. I don't really look for validation, but man, just to hear you say keep it up, that really felt like I was doing something great. So even though you're not here anymore, I want to say thank you, because a lot of this, what I'm doing in my life, career, what we're doing, we owe it all to you. I'm not trying to get emotional, but a lot of it is because of you. And just to hear, it's kind of like thank you, to hear you say thank you, just to hear you say keep up the good work. And so Ms. Byers, you did a great job with all of us, and I can only just say thank you. So with that being said, that's the end of our show, our tribute to Ms. Byers. We did it. It'll be 10 years, and I feel like just keep going. I feel like we can't end the show or keep it up, because I feel like this is something that you wanted us to do, and to bring conversations to the table like this. So we encourage you, if you're listening, to be fearless and be challenging, and at the same time be willing to help others who need the help, because you never know what people are going through. So we want to invite you to join the conversation. You can always see us online at Facebook. Go to our social media pages: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You always go to our website, our official website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's straightupshowpodcast.com. STR8UP showpodcast.com. For the Patreon page, you want to contribute to the show. This is season 5. No things kind of been in array right now, or at an array, but we're pushing through the season. But until then, there's only one rule to our show: you got to be straight up. And with that being said, Ms. Byers, we love you, we thank you, and we'll see you on the other side. We love you.